Hi, you guys. I've had some people who have had a little bit of trouble whenever they are working on appeals, specifically Objective 3. So I just wanted to show you a resource that you can use to go over for that and to give kind of an explanation of that resource, since I usually do this as a small group in class and explain it to that small group. So the first thing that you want to do is go to Schoology. And we're going to go to our Power Focus Areas resource folder. So you can either click that from the virtual classroom here, or you can scroll down to the Power Focus Area folder at the bottom. Both things will take you to the same spot. So once you open the Power Focus Area folder, you have this slideshow that has resources for each of the focus areas. We're going to go to Appeals, and that's going to take us to this slide right here. So on this slide, you can see that we have an anchor chart that just has definitions of each of the types of appeals and has kind of an icon to help you remember those pieces. You also have some practice for Objective 2, and you have some practice for Objective 2 identifying appeals in texts, which you will have on your test. So the last spot for Objective 3, you have these small group slides that we're going to focus on for this video. So whenever you click on the small group link, it's going to open up this slideshow. Objective 3 is about explaining the effect of the appeal. So you're not just identifying pathos, ethos, or logos. You're explaining how the author is using that specific appeal, or how that appeal is coming across in the text or in the advertisement. So these are the types of questions that you're going to see on your test. So first, they might ask you to identify which of the appeals by focusing on like how the language is used. So here's an example question. In the above passage, blank, the author's reference to blank is primarily an example of an appeal to, and then you're going to have to choose ethos, pathos, or logos. So the way that this is more complicated is that in this blank, they're going to have a specific thing that the speaker or author did in the text that you're going to have to say whether that kind of like author craft is an example of ethos, pathos, or logos. So, for example, let's say that they say that the question says, in the above passage, Mrs. Fountain's reference to the number of students who have submitted checkpoint 1 is primarily an example of an appeal to blank. So if I'm talking about the number of students, if I'm using like numbers, percentages of people, then that would be an appeal to logos, right? So they're telling you what the author move was, or the speaker's move was in their speech or in their text that they wrote. And then you're trying to identify, is that a specific appeal? Which appeal does that match with? Another type of question that you might have is answering how a specific appeal is shown. For example, this question asks, which of the following best exemplifies the strategies used to create an ethos appeal? Right? So they've told you the appeal. They're looking for ethos. This author is using ethos. And they're asking you how. What is a strategy that they used to show ethos or to use ethos in their speech or in their text? The second type is identifying the appeal and its effect. So that question might ask you, which of the following best describes the most prominent effect of the rhetor's use of classic appeals? Right? So you don't know which appeal they used, and you don't know how they used it. You're having to do both pieces. So these types of questions, these two examples, there are two steps that you kind of have to think about to answer these questions. In the first type, you just need to match whatever they're talking about to the appeal. So again, if we said Mrs. Fountain's reference to the number of students, that number of students is like a statistic, so it would obviously be logos. With these two, there are two steps that you kind of need to think about. If they tell you it's ethos, what do you do next? Or if they're asking you which is the effect of the appeal that they're using, then you're having to do both pieces at once. Identify the appeal and how that was used or how that was created. Okay, so here are your 2 steps. Step 1, read the question and the answer choices. So even if it gives you a passage, first read the answer choices and eliminate any answer choices that don't match. For example, if they're asking you which of the following best exemplifies the strategies used to create a pathos appeal, you can eliminate any answer choices that are talking about ethos or logos. So if they're telling you this author used pathos, what strategies did they use? Let's say that answer choice A says they include statistics about the number of car crashes each year. Well, using statistics is not pathos. So you can immediately eliminate that answer choice before you ever even look at the passage. Okay, so that is the first type. Second, you can eliminate any answer choices that don't match. So, for example, in this question, which of the following best describes the most prominent effects of the rhetor's use of classic appeals, right? So you need to identify the appeal and the effect, like what effect did that have on the audience, or what effect did that have on that speaker and how they use language. So this answer choice here says Paine primarily uses a rhetorical appeal to his reader's sense of logos in order to illustrate his passionate resentment against the crown. Okay, so let's think about that. Logos to show passionate resentment, that he really hates these people. Those 2 things don't match. If you're showing passionate resentment, that would be pathos, not logos. So immediately this answer choice cannot be correct because logos is not showing emotion. So if you look at the answer choices, you can get rid of some answer choices just by using literally your own logic in thinking about the answer choices. So after you've eliminated answer choices that you know cannot be correct, then step 2, then you can look at the text and look at your remaining answer choices to ask yourself which of these now is the best answer to this question. Is there evidence of this answer choice in the text? This last piece that's here is a difficult content assessment passage that you will see that actually goes along with the previous answer choice. So in this difficult passage, you can take a moment to read this or to click on the slides in Schoology to read this passage and use the vocabulary that's here at the bottom to kind of think about and understand this passage before you see it on your test. And that's it. So just use those strategies whenever you are testing to think about if they tell you the appeal that's being used and ask about the effect. Just look at the answer choices first. Look at the answer choices first and eliminate any that don't match. Then look at the text to determine which of the remaining answer choices is the right one.